"She's pregnant," the girl said with sick satisfaction, even before Aster had settled into her seat. Many confessions began this way, truths pressurized by silence finally cracking open. People who had let their thought goblins steer them into choices with real consequences. Aster's role was simple. She helped them release what had grown too heavy to hold. The diner was a place where the clocks didn't tick. They groaned. Aster Wynn sat in the back booth, her face partially obscured by the steam rising from a cup of coffee. Outside, the rain slashed against the windows in rhythmic, violent bursts, turning the neon sign of the 24-hour oasis into a blurry, bleeding smear of red across the asphalt. This was her office. She didn't sell advice. She didn't offer absolution. She sold silence. For $20, she would take your secret and bury it in the dark corners of her mind, leaving you light enough to walk back out into the world. The night started with the girl who had a nervous twitch and a hollow stare. She didn't look like a killer, but she spoke of life-ending sabotage. With a voice like dry leaves, she confessed to swapping her roommate's spermicide with KY jelly for months. Why? Because the roommate's laughter was too loud, her presence too vibrant, her joy a personal insult to the girl's own misery. Aster watched as the girl sipped strawberry water, her scowl softening as she described the positive pregnancy test on the counter. It was a whole future traded for a few moments of quiet. Aster felt the weight of that unborn life settle over her. Then came the professional. He was a man who wore success like a shield, but his eyes were filled with the yellow bile of envy. He confessed to a collection habit, buying vintage designer silks, wearing them through high fever sweats and unwashed nights, only to return them to the boutique for the next unsuspecting socialite to drape over their skin. He liked the idea of selling his own sickness being sold as a luxury. But it was the man in the charcoal tie who stayed the longest. He was average in every way, the kind of man you'd pass in a hallway and forget before he even turned the corner. He placed 2 tens on the table, his fingers lingering on the laminate. "I'm not a thief," he began, his voice a low, steady hum. "Not anymore." He spoke of the office break room, a place of fluorescent lights and the smell of ozone. 3 months ago, he'd been caught stealing a coworker's lunch, a simple sandwich. He'd apologized, wept even, and the office had forgiven him. But the forgiveness felt like a cage. He leaned in closer, the scent of peppermint gum failing to mask the sourness of his breath. "Every day at 11:45, he whispered. "While the rest of them are finishing their emails, I go in. I don't take a bite. I don't even move the container." He described the process with a poet's precision, the way he carefully lifted the lid of the coworker's Tupperware, always something healthy, something prepared with care. He talked about the buildup of saliva in his mouth, the deliberate, thick gathering of it. He described the release, the way it landed on the chicken or pasta, a clear, viscous mark of his ownership. He would stir it in, just enough to hide it, then snap the lid back on. "I sit through the afternoon meetings," the man said, a slow, terrifying smile spreading across his face. "I watch him chew. I watch him swallow. I watch him reach for his water to wash me down. It's the only time I feel like I'm really a part of his life." The man stood up, adjusted his tie, and walked out into the rain, looking like a saint. Aster sat alone, the silence of the night feeling heavier than it had 10 minutes ago. She looked at her cold coffee. The jolt of the night wasn't a spark, it was a shiver. She had enough secrets to drown a city, and as the 11:45 man disappeared into the dark, she realized some people didn't want a new life. They just wanted to make everyone else's taste like ash. And so that is how Aster treats those secrets, not the true faces of the confessors, but as discarded husks of the moments of human weakness, not as compasses to their true heart, but as discarded versions of themselves. Aster treats those stories as their deceased loved ones. She holds space for the dead while the living speak, and then she cremates the past, allowing the confessors to walk free. Thank you for watching Lovejoy Library. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing.